Welcome to UFHL Now! A close-up look at the ultimate fantasy hockey league. The most realistic fantasy gameplay. High stakes. High reward. Here's your host, the owner of Duckman's Domination in the UFHL, and the mighty Mallards of the UFAHL, Dean Millard.
Hello there and welcome to episode 19 of UFHL Now, a show that is so big I had to bring in Larry Fisher, the insider, right off the bat. And Larry, we know this is an absolutely huge weekend for the UFFS platform. We have the UFAHL football auctions ongoing as we speak and some very fun bidding. But man, we have some absolutely huge breaking and massive news in the UFHL. So that's why I had to bring you on. Thanks for joining me right off the top of the show today.
Thanks for having me again, Dean. And it's always exciting when we get to break news on UFHL and UFHL Now. And I think the big thing, we're looking forward to the expansion draft. We're looking forward to the entry auction for the franchises, the futures auction for the scouts. Next week is massive for the Ultimate Fantasy Hockey League. But this week, so far, a bit of a slow news week. What's going to happen? And then boom, we get this big blockbuster franchise sale that's going to blow people away, and can't wait to meet the new owner.
Well, without further ado, let's get to that, because I know the new owner in the UFHL is also looking to be an owner in the UFAHL, so we don't want to keep them from bidding too much in that. And with that, right after this, we will meet the newest owner in the UFHL on UFHL Now.
You're watching the Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network, UFSN, your one-stop fantasy shop. Get in touch on Twitter at UFS Network. Email us, UFSN@UFFsports.com.
Well, it's amazing, Larry. History repeats itself as the UFHL Klein Cup champion has been sold for a second straight year. Larry, why don't you do the honors and welcome Alex to the UFHL as a new owner?
It's great to have Alex Muchinski in the fold, better known as Mooch from the Telegram community. Big UFFS supporter from day one as soon as he joined the community on Telegram, and has stepped up and purchased the Red Army franchise, the reigning Klein Cup champion, for 150,000 score coin, SCO. So that will be a new record setter, or equals the total of the franchise sale for Dynasty to Ryan Malone a couple weeks ago. So it's great to have you here, Alex. Great to break the news on UFHL Now, and you must be excited to be part of the UFHL.
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to say that I've been watching your all's podcasts for like 2 months now. I haven't missed a single one. You guys are awesome, and the professionalism you guys bring is fantastic. And me and my partner Tommy cannot be more excited to be a part of this. We are more than pumped. So thank you.
I know you guys aren't maybe the biggest hockey guys, but talk about making the plunge, taking the plunge to get into the Ultimate Fantasy Hockey League, and certainly no better place to start than on top with Red Army, who built probably the best team on paper in the regular season. Wound up finishing second to the Ice Vikings. More of a younger core, has dismantled a little bit or retooled a little bit, but going forward still looks like that young core is going to put you guys in good shape to be a playoff contender and potentially repeat as Klein Cup champions. But just the decision to step up and purchase the Red Army now.
Well, yeah, there's no secret. Tommy and I don't know crap about hockey. We believe in the platform. We believe in the system. When I first joined this, I said, we're going to focus on football and basketball. Those are in baseball, our loves. But, as I got into this and I saw the enthusiasm you all have for hockey, obviously you all being from Canada, and the thing I love about hockey, even though we're not experts, is there are no casual fans in hockey. I mean, you either don't care about hockey or you're all in. And I just love the enthusiasm of the league. And I said, you know what? I believe in the long-term business plan, business model. I said, I want a piece of this. And I thought about waiting until after the other auctions. Then when Bugsy Malone stepped in, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to have a chance. I got, he's going to bring his NHL buddies. If I want a franchise, I got to roll. And so when Luke started, making feelers on the Telegram, I was like, let's see what we can do here. We got on, we started talking. There was some back and forth as with every negotiation, but we eventually came to a deal, and I couldn't be more ecstatic about, it was important to me to keep him on. I mean, he only won the league, so why wouldn't I keep him on? So, let's be honest, he's built a young powerhouse, and I hope to be able to work with him for years to come.
Smart decision keeping him on. The Washington Capitals haven't done anything since Barry Trotz went to the Islanders, while the Islanders have done well. So that's your first smart move as an owner. Good job right off the bat with that. But I love the story. You guys, you told us a little bit in the Telegram chat about the history with you and your partner in this franchise. Can you take us back in time and kind of give us that story, because I think it's fantastic.
Sure. Look, I'm 50 years old, and back in the late 70s, early 80s, my partner Tommy, he was my next door neighbor, and we were complete sports dorks, and to the extreme. And this is obviously this is way pre-internet, pre any technology, to be honest with you, and we were like in grade school, and we started playing this, remember the old paper football that you folded up and all that, and so we totally geeked out with it, and we made a worldwide league where we went every country. We had it diagrammed, and we had it, we had a whole. I still have the notebook. I've got to bring it out now, but and we got so super into it, and again, we were thinking back, we were incredibly dorky, but we played this whole league of paper football, and we called it the Seven Seas Football League. And so when this thing came around, and Tommy and I wouldn't be doing this without Tommy. It's either both of us or none of us. And I said, we're going to be the Seven Seas Fantasy Sports Corp. And like I said, we hope that this is just the start of things for us with hockey. We're participating right now in the auction for football. Hopefully that pans out well for us. But we're big sports fans, so we, like I said, we're incredibly excited. It's going to be an incredible experience. I'm a tax accountant now. I want to ace out of that in a few years and do this full time, I tell you.
That's awesome. I love the passion. Well, I'm sorry to be bothering you, because somebody has outbid you in the football as we're talking. So as soon as we're done with this, you'll have to get to that top spot again, right?
There's a ways to go on that. Many moons till Sunday. We'll see where we roll.
I just wanted to ask you about getting kind of into the other sports. I absolutely love that. This is kind of that vision that you guys had, is this is a bit of a global fantasy platform with those other platforms. You said you guys didn't know a lot about hockey. Do you plan on being the GMs for those teams? I'm head of baseball. Looking forward for you guys getting into baseball. What's the plan on that?
The plan is, Tommy's going to be the quote unquote general manager of football, basketball, baseball. I'm going to focus on business development. I really want to work with the founders, and I want to build this thing into a financial behemoth. I mean, I want I want to get gambling going. I want to get NFTs going. I want to get joint ventures going. I want to really focus on that, because otherwise, we're just playing fantasy sports, which is great, but I want to. This thing's gonna roll, man. Tony had an ingenious idea doing this, and I'm all in. I bought into it. I'm so impressed with what you guys have built in a very, very short time. I can only imagine what this thing is going to be like 5-10 years down the road, so that's why I own hockey. Like I said, I can't name 5 players on hockey, but I love. I mean, I'm going to learn it. You trust me. We're gonna be very active. Luke is gonna. Luke knows everything. Luke is like an encyclopedia of hockey. And having said that, I'm excited. I'm excited to learn a new sport. You guys, hockey's in your blood. All you guys up in Canada. We're us Americans. It's kind of like some people are into it, but the people that are into it are just gung ho into it. I went to the Islanders playoff game a few weeks ago. But a bunch of my buddies from that live in Long Island, we went. And it was a zoo there. I mean, that was one of the final games in the barn, and it was a packed crowd. And that's when I said, you know what, I need to have a piece of this hockey. So here I am.
That's awesome. And like I said, look where we'll be in 5 years. It's hard to imagine, especially when you look back to last year at this time, we literally were holding the player draft and franchises. We were recruiting people at $200 USD for a franchise, and a year later we're at 72,000 USD plus for franchises. So it's come a long way in 1 year, and this weekend we'll raise the bar again, most likely with the UFAHL American Football League franchises. Best of luck there to yourself and Seven Seas Fantasy Sports Corp, as well as Tommy, and can't wait to get to know Tommy as well. And you mentioned, getting in with the Red Army at the right time. You got a championship parade coming up. I don't know, as the new owners, as Luke promised, he's going to mail you guys the Klein Cup. Are you going to get to get your hands on that as well? I don't know if your names will be on it.
We haven't discussed that, and you know what? That trophy's Luke's. It had nothing to do with me. Obviously, we came in after the fact, and look, he really doubled down on all those Canadians he picked up for the playoffs. I mean, that's a bold move, and you know what? I like that. So to win in fantasy, you've got to do bold moves at times. I mean, I've been doing fantasy sports for 30 years, mainly football, basketball. And to win, you always got to do something like that. You play it safe. You might make money, but you're not going to win unless you make a bold move. And that was certainly a bold move, in my opinion, in my average opinion of hockey. Obviously, I'm not an expert, but I thought that was awesome.
No, you nailed it, and I think a bold move, and you feel more of a sense of accomplishment or pride or whatever you want to say when you do make a bold move and it pays off, because a lot of people had Red Army losing in the second round in the playoff predictions. So to come out and have Montreal go all the way, and especially Luke's from Quebec, he likes Montreal, so to kind of be along for the ride with Montreal was great. But somebody else that was along for the ride all season with Red Army, which from the chats, was the silent partner, and ironically, the silent partner has stepped aside in the last week. Was that a joint decision, or did you and Tommy say we've had enough of the silent partner shtick?
I have no idea who even the silent partner is. I mean, he's still silent as far as I am. I don't know. Like I said, this all came about in the last week. Luke started putting some feelers out on Telegram. I was fine waiting until after the other auctions to get hockey. I figured, there's no rush. But like I said, when you see an NHL player buying a team, being the ambassador for the sport, he knows everyone in the NHL. He's obviously going to get people to buy teams and get interest. So you gotta get ahead of that steamroll that's going to happen. This thing's going to take off. This is going to be a major thing, the whole UFFL. And you can't just sit on your laurels and not act. And so when I saw that, I'm like, I gotta get on this.
Well, I, for one, will not miss the silent partner shtick or any of that. So I'm pretty happy that that's going on. But as far as, you guys are going to be, you guys have the system set up for the other sports. Are you guys hands off with Luke? Is it like, Luke, you're going to do these things and just let us know what you need from us? Or how's that going to run as far as being involved as you get to know hockey more?
No, Luke has to run every transaction by us, and we're going to have a relationship with him where he's going to give us the rationale. Look, I know sports very well. I don't know hockey well, but I know sports well. So, a lot of the same strategies should work the same way. And we kind of want to really get involved with watching what he's doing, because that's going to help us when we're doing the GMing of the other leagues. So no, we're hands on. I mean, you don't put the type of money that we just did into this and not be hands on. I'm not going to be a Jimmy Dolan going off playing in my band and waiting for the good times to come that never do come. So we're going to be hands on. Now, obviously, Luke has a lot more knowledge than us, so we're going to defer to a lot of his judgment. But no transactions are going to come out without us being, aware of them. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so the value of this franchise is pretty high, as you just found out. Are you guys looking at saying we're looking at a dynasty here, or are you guys saying we want to recoup some money or maybe get some draft picks? Is the goal to be like go after it again each year? Can you sustain? What's the long-term vision for this? At some time, every team goes through a cycle where they aren't as good. How long do you think you can keep this run for Red Army going?
Well, we're going to have discussions about that, obviously. I think, even with the recent moves, this is a team that can contend. Having said that, you have to be flexible in this world. And if we determine that we need to rebuild, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I think I'm planning on contending next year. I know Luke's planning on contending. But you never know what the future is really going to hold. But yeah, we're not going into rebuilding mode right away. Now, having said that, this goes with all the teams we're looking to buy. We have a very long-term vision for this league. I'm never selling, and my kids are going to run this. Kind of like the Rooneys, the Maras, the Davises, Jones, you name it. So, we're not going to kill ourselves for the long term by making two short-term decisions. But it's always a balancing act, as every real franchise has to go through those decisions.
I love that long-term vision, and also love the fact that you guys are going to be hands-on, and you'll find out as soon as we're done the show today. You'll be getting into 4 or 5 more groups on Telegram, because we're going to add you and Tommy to all the UFHL specific groups, including a group that's only for owners. So you're really going to get to network with the community in the Ultimate Fantasy Hockey League, and I love the idea. And actually, Ryan Malone too, he jumped right in there, and he's been commenting on things that he thinks could improve the league, and really, it is a real network of owners, and you'll get a ton of DMs, and you'll really enjoy it. And I just love the fact that you're not a completely hands-off investor. You are going to, take up an interest in hockey and certainly gain that knowledge. But I can't wait to see what you guys do in football, basketball, and baseball. Out of those three, is football the one that really drives you, or you and Tommy, or do you guys have different favorite sports out of those three?
That kind of depends on how my teams are doing. No, I mean, look, my first love was baseball, then football and basketball. But at various times during my life, I probably like them all equivalently. My daughter plays AAU basketball. She's 15 years old, so she's super into the NBA. So we're big Brooklyn Nets fans, and we go to a lot of games. And so right now in my household, probably basketball's number one. But I'm well versed. I'm a huge soccer fan too. When you guys roll out the Premier League, that's going to be huge. I mean, soccer is great, and so I like all sports. So and I can't wait for these Legends leagues. That is going to be what differentiates this whole project. I love Tony's vision on it. That is good. It's going to be. I'll say it right now. They're going to be more profitable and more exciting long term than the actual real leagues. That's what my prediction is going to be.
Yeah, that's a shared vision with a lot of the investors, is that they do believe that the Legends leagues will end up becoming a higher valuation than the active leagues or the current player leagues. So it's going to be amazing to see how that all evolves. And like I said, where are we in 5 years, right? This could be a whole different beast 5 years from now. As you see with a lot of successful startups, it's been a huge jump in the first year, and then let's see what year 2 holds. But certainly, you grew up in Connecticut, now in Brooklyn. You mentioned your daughter is a competitive basketball player. Did you and Tommy, you grew up geeking out on sports, but did you guys have a bit of a playing background as well, and that's what led you into the fantasy world, or did you take up sports through fantasy?
No, I played 3 sports in high school: football, basketball, baseball. None good enough to play at the collegiate level, but sports was my life growing up. Sports has been my whole, a major component of my whole life. Ever since I was a little kid. So it's this thing is the perfect thing. I mean, I'm a big fantasy geek. I'm a big crypto enthusiast. I love gambling. I love fantasy sports. I love sport. So when this thing came around, I was like, "What's this? Everything I like is on this. I got to get involved in this." And so, this is you couldn't have if you mapped out what is Alex like, and let's put it all in a pot, and then come out with this. There you go.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love the story. You know what? And when you say you guys were sports dorks, I'm in that club. We used to play Stratomatic. I know you said you did that. We might have to get that going at some point. But I love that you're a pure sports fan, sports junkie of all sports. That's exactly what we want. We want the best fantasy players with the most passionate owners in the UFFS. And Mooch, it's so great to have you aboard. Congratulations on the purchase of the 2021 Klein Cup champions. Best of luck, except if you ever face Duckman's domination in the playoffs. Thanks so much for joining us today, Alex. Congratulations.
Listen, my pleasure. I couldn't be happier. Again, you guys do a top-notch job here, and I'm going to do everything in my power to bring success to this whole platform. So thank you.
Time to get the scoop on the UFHL with our insider, Larry Fisher. He's had lines in the water all week long. What will he reel in for us today? Let's dive in and find out what's going on with the UFHL now.
All right, that was quite the breaking news from the insider. Man, I don't know how you're going to possibly top that in the actual insider segment, an abbreviated insider segment. But I was just thinking, Mooch and Tommy, his partner, are exactly the people that we want in Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports. Guys that self-described sports dorks, sports geeks, sports nuts, sports addict, guys that are going to bring passion, knowledge. Obviously, they have the finances to purchase a team, and they're going after football. They want to be the empire. This is the exact, put Mooch on a billboard for the type of personalities we want in this league.
Absolutely. Complete and utter sports junkies. And just the fact that, like I said, they're going after franchises in every sport at every level, including Legends leagues, and really passionate about the NFT side of the platform. They understand crypto. They're into crypto. So yeah, like he kind of said, right? You put everything Mooch is interested in into a bucket, or into a barrel and stir it up and serve it up on a platter. And that's what UFF Sports is. It's like a dream for him to land in this platform, especially, although it is a big jump from where we were last year, we still are at the ground floor. Like he said, we're just about to really take things to another level this weekend with the UFAHL franchise auction. So they feel like they're getting in at the perfect time. They're thrilled to be here, and we're certainly happy to have them. And like I said, the more mooches we can get, the better.
Yeah, and the less silent partner gifts we can get, even better. So that makes me really happy. How is Luke going to deal with a non-silent partner? That's what I really want to know and really want to be watching. Is Luke did such a tremendous job making every decision. Now he'll have to run it by an actual partner instead of the silent partner, which, brings a new dynamic in. And, I'm sure Luke is going to try to have success in football auctions or whatever he's going for. And that's the beauty, is that you can, build your hockey team up and then start moving out like the 7 C's are going to do. I absolutely love that name and that concept they had as a kid.
Yeah, the 7 C's Fantasy Sports Corp is going to be a mover and shaker in UFF Sports, and good for them to be able to kind of come full circle from their fantasy roots of the 7 C's paper football and with no technology, no internet, no computers even really at that time, and look where we are now. So and look where UFFS is from a year ago too. And like I said, for Luke, the chain of command, that's going to be new, right? He was Jerry Jonesing it. He was the boss of all bosses. He assembled a really good staff with Red Army, with Jeff Ray as the director of amateur scouting. And he had Adam Stevens, who was one of the more active GMs with the Outlaws, stepped away, came back as assistant GM, had a real sounding board for Luke and helped make a lot of decisions, including the playoff draft strategy. And so, he's assembled a good staff there. Andrew Grover as another affiliated scout there. It wasn't a one-man show, but Luke had final say on everything, obviously, and definitely was a outspoken owner and GM. And now he's got to, really fall into line with the vision and the sort of the professionalism that both Alex and Tommy want to see from the 7 C's Fantasy Sports Corp. They want it to be professional, and Luke will have to fall in line there.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the 7 C's purchasing a baseball in the UFLB. Really, as these football auctions are ongoing as we speak, and I know Alex is in Vegas, I'm so jealous, but it's a really good opportunity for basketball and baseball and the future leagues to drum up attention and make sure everybody's paying attention to what's happening with football, so they know when they want to purchase a baseball team or a basketball team or golf or combat as we grow, or anything else that we grow. Everybody kind of sees how it's going to work. And big news aside with Red Army, there have been some other, some pretty big names trading places in the UFHL as of late.
Yeah, much like the NHL this week, a lot of franchises are tinkering with their lineups or their rosters ahead of that protected list deadline tomorrow on Saturday at midnight Eastern is the last call for protected lists for the UFHL franchises. So they are definitely trying to put the finishing touches on some deals. And we have seen some pretty big names move this week, as you mentioned, Dean. The biggest probably being Dougie Hamilton. Strong Island, actually, it's funny, Dean. They a week ago, they put Matt Dumba and Dougie Hamilton on the trade block. And the reason that is they didn't want to go the 4-4-1 route with their protected list. And if they kept both Dumba and Hamilton, then they would have been stuck protecting 4 defensemen and probably lose a good forward. So they go out and they move Dougie Hamilton for a package that was sort of headlined by Pavel Zacha, but they traded Matt Dumba to the Assassins and got back Pavel Zacha and a few other pieces to that package. And then we thought, okay, maybe Strong Island's done here. Now they got their 3D they want to protect, but they were still sort of dangling Dougie Hamilton, and they did get a deal done. And they went back to the Assassins back to back. So now both Matt Dumba and Dougie Hamilton are members of the Assassins, and that's a big move for the Assassins. They've been really retooling this offseason. And again, this is another move between rival franchises in that OR division, which, some of the playoff franchises, Strong Island, now maybe they're falling back to the non-playoff franchises like the Assassins. So it's going to be a real amazing division to watch next season, that OR division. But that deal for Dougie Hamilton managed to bring back Philip Zadina, who obviously is a budding sniper for the Detroit Red Wings, as well as a late second round pick. So that was the return for Hamilton. But both Hamilton and Dumba in separate deals from Strong Island to Assassins. Those were the biggest names on the move leading up to the expansion draft expansion draft deadline for protected lists tomorrow night.
Well, and we were really close to submitting our list, and then threw it out in the trade talk chat channel yesterday that we've got some spots, and we can take on a player if you don't want to lose anybody for nothing. And so now the negotiations have opened up with a couple of teams. So it's I was kind of just laying in the weeds, talking to a few teams, and then now is the time where I think you can squeeze a couple of teams a little bit. They're under a bit of a deadline. They don't want to lose it for nothing. If I don't get a deal done, it's no skin off my back. I still submit my same teams, but if I can improve, and that's everybody has their own strategy. But maybe just for anybody, even Vito asked last night, too much Vegas on his brain. When is the deadline? So, Arlo, this is for you. Larry, lay out the details of when franchises need to get their rosters in and what they have to submit.
So midnight Eastern on Saturday night is the deadline. Tomorrow night, midnight Eastern. And you need to submit your protected list, which is either seven forwards, 3 defensemen, and 1 goaltender, or 8 skaters and a goaltender, which normally would be protecting 4 or more defensemen. Would be the 8 skaters, but then there could be a couple franchises that instead of protecting 7 forwards, they only protect 8 forwards and no defensemen. So look for that possibility in the UFHL as well. But we also want them to submit their exposed list as well as their exempt list, and then we would like them to highlight the players that meet the minimum requirements. Saves Commissioner Andrea and myself the work of having to go through the exposed list and double check and look up every player that meets the exposed requirements, which is a big thing we've talked about all year, Dean. You need 2 forwards, 1 defenseman, and 1 goaltender that do meet those minimum exposed requirements. And that's sort of a next level fantasy thing. Again, I don't think there's too many fantasy leagues doing an expansion draft to mirror the Seattle Kraken in the NHL, but we're mirroring it right down to the minute details of the minimum exposed requirements. And so yeah, everybody's got essentially 24 hours to put the finishing touches on this protected list. And I do think franchises like Duckman's Domination, you mentioned it, Dean, are in a great position to be buyers here because anything is better than nothing. And they know that there's still 16 franchises out there that are going to lose a player. And Duckman's could potentially upgrade some roster spots here on your protected list with a lot of leverage that you don't have to give up much because anything is better than nothing. So it'll be interesting to see how the next 24 hours play out leading up to the deadline for protected lists.
Yeah, when somebody says that's too high a price, I'm going to be like, just watch UFHL Now. The insider said anything is better than nothing, so I'll just use that kind of as a reference. And there's terrific passion within this platform, whether you're an owner or a scout. A discussion took place yesterday that really didn't have to take place in the scouting world because we're waiting. But one really cool thing came out of what happened yesterday, and that was a really neat, innovative idea from Trevor from Five Eyes Scouting. I think this is very cool, and I think actually every sport should adopt this. We probably can't in hockey, but maybe lay out what that idea was and your thoughts on it, Larry.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Thanks to Trevor Zimmer for putting it forward. But basically, the way the futures auction works for scouts is every annual year you introduce a new draft class, so that the age range is always the same, but you introduce the next youngest group that becomes eligible for the open market. Well, you do that by auctioning off the top 64 prospects of that age group. And actually the conversation started where I was, do we want to do top 64 or do we want to do 100? Because in all honesty, I had 106 kids I really liked, and it was extremely painful process for me to cut it down to 64. I had to cut a set of twin brothers from Kelowna that I really like and have a lot of potential. And I won't name drop them because you guys got to go find them the scouts have to find them on the open market now, but they didn't make the cut for me. But so cutting down from 100 to 64 was painful. I thought maybe they would want to have a bigger sample size to bid on in that auction, and let's do 100. And there was pushback from scouts saying, why should we bid on more players than the franchises bid on in the entry auction? The franchises bid on 64 draft spots. And so why should the scouts bid on 100 and pay extra for, 36 more players than what the franchises do? Makes sense. So we kind of agreed on 64, and then, or that's where we were heading. And then Trevor comes in and says, you know what, guys, if we're having this debate, why is Larry doing the scouting and we're doing the bidding? aren't we supposed to be the scouts? Let's just do the exact same thing the franchises are doing this year. You don't bid on specific prospects. You bid on draft spots. The highest bidder, once you've won first overall, you make your pick. And it works great for the scout or for the franchises, because you're going to, if you don't want Owen Power first overall, you want Matty Beniers, you can take Matty Beniers if you win the first overall bid. But let's apply that to the scouting side and to the futures auction. Make the scouts do the work. Make them scout the bantam draft age group from the WHL in Western Canada, but that 15-year-old age group. So in this case, it's the 2006 born kids, or kids born between September 15th, 2005 and a calendar year to September 15th, 2006. But let's put the onus on the scouts to do their homework and make their top 64 or their top 100 come to the futures auction prepared. And you know what? Here we go. First overall pick is up for grabs. 47 plus scouts. You guys get bidding. Whoever wins that first overall pick, you pick the player you want. You don't have a list supplied by the scouting director. You have to bring your own list, and that'll really show, Dean, who the best scouts are, because you can't show up unprepared, because if you win a bid, who are you going to pick, and how much do you know about the kids? So you really got to spend the entire year throughout the season watching these kids, scouting these kids, coming prepared with your own list. And when first overall goes up, it's going to be a bidding war, and then there's going to be the suspense and the surprise of, are they going to pick Cole Iserman? Are they going to pick Berkeley Catan? Are they going to pick Aaron Kiviharju? Are they going to pick Alexei Dontsov? There's so many options, so many different ways you could go. Now that we're talking about the 2024 eligibles with those name drops, but this won't be implemented this year, because I don't think a week's notice is enough time for 47 scouts to prepare their lists. So I did finalize my top 64 for this year, but looking to 2022, when we auction off the 2025 eligibles, the onus will be put on the scouts. I think we've decided to implement that change going forward. And for all the new sports starting up, we're going to do that as well. So the initial futures auction the scouting directors will likely put forward the top prospects and let the scouts bid. But then in year 2 and going forward, it'll be up to the scouts to come prepared with their own lists, have the bidding wars, and then you pick who you want to really show who the best scouts are in the UFFS ecosystem.
That's going to be wild, and I absolutely cannot wait, because I think you alluded to this in the chat. If you went to 100 as the list you put together, all you're doing is giving somebody with little knowledge and a lot of money an advantage. This way, the scout needs to do his own homework and have his own list, whether that's 60, 100, 150, 200, 500, who knows? It really does, because that's the other thing. It's 64, and then if we went to 100, you are taking some scouting out of it. I absolutely love this idea, because it actually is the scout doing the homework. It's not Larry doing the scouting agency's homework for them.
Exactly, Dean. And I think that's the point Trevor was trying to make throughout the conversation, from saying, let's not go to 100, let's stick to 64. We got to let the scouts scout. That was the message. And it finally resonated with me when he put forward his idea to don't put out any list, Larry. You're the scouting director. You just sit back and let us do the work and let us prepare for these futures auctions, and we'll pick the prospects that we want. And I think that's a great idea, Dean. And one thing, too, that I think maybe a bit for myself, I was using the scouting director role to really test my scouting ability and to keep my skills sharp and make sure because I'm not an active scout on the platform. As the scouting director, I can't have any skin in the game. This year's futures auction, I had a list of 528 kids that I trimmed to 106 that I had to trim to 64. And you look back to last year's futures auction, we auctioned off the 2021 draft class, and knock on wood, the NHL draft results could be a lot different than our UFFS consensus final rankings. But if you look at those final rankings, I did pretty good last year. I got 50 out of the 64, including all 32 first round ranked prospects were auctioned in the futures auction last year. So I didn't miss on any of the guys we have projected for the first round a year later. So that was a pretty big accomplishment for me being the scouting director. That was a lot of the fun of the role, was testing my own scouting ability and keeping my skills sharp. But I think this isn't about me, and it shouldn't be about me. So I think I'll take a step back and realize that the scouts should be, or as we say, let the scouts scout.
Well, and the beauty is then you are finding out, just like everybody else, what is happening with the pick, and then your reaction. You know, when you write your post draft piece, will be quite interesting because you will be seeing the selections for the first time like everybody else. So I think it kind of gives you a different but also a unique view of things in that regard. So I'm looking forward to that idea. I think it's great. I think it's a no-brainer for the new sports, and it will make it's really going to separate what's the wheat from the chaff. Is that the old saying or something like that on the farm? You grew up on a farm, so you might know a little bit more than I, but it's going to really bring in the real scouting world, and I think that is excellent. So I'm glad Trevor came up with that. Bravo, Trevor. Excellent idea, especially in a sea of turmoil yesterday. To come out with such a beautiful idea is excellent. And before we go, just want to quickly say good luck to everybody in Vegas this weekend or bidding online in UFAHL auctions. It should be a real lot of fun, especially those VIP parties if you're there. And quickly want to send just a shout out to everybody in the Barrie, Ontario area. That devastating tornado that went through. We're all thinking of you. And to those in Europe that are watching us, we have some scouts over there. Torrential rains and some flooding. So everybody, please keep safe this weekend, and good luck if you're in Vegas. So for that, we will say goodbye now. Larry, thank you so much for joining me for the entire show today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Dean. Looking forward to the weekend, the finalizing the protected lists and everything that the UFHL has to come next week with the expansion draft and the entry auction and the futures auction. It's going to be great. And hopefully the forest fires don't get me here. It seems like there's natural disasters everywhere, but another great show, and looking forward to what's to come in the Ultimate Fantasy Hockey League. A busy week ahead.
Yeah, stay safe out there with those forest fires. It seems every year you guys are trying to dodge those. So for everybody out there, stay safe in whatever it is you are doing. Thanks for joining us on UFHL Now today. Have a great weekend.
UFHL Now is produced by DM Productions. To get in touch, head to www.podcastalley.ca.